that one.
No, I don't, but you have to keep going.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Fun Show here at Big TV. Believe it or not, we are rapidly approaching the end of summer. I hate to say it, but it's a fact. And
Thank you, Maestro.
so we're celebrating Harvest Moon, although I frequently like to sing it as August Moon. Fits the same meter.
Okay.
So that's
Good?
it.
Okay.
So this is
Okay.
the Fun Show. It is the August 19th edition of the Fun Show. Michael Sallin is sitting behind the Kira keyboard. Kira is sitting in between us again. We're very happy. Kira Miner and I'm Arch O'Reilly, and that's the cast, the current cast of the Fun Show here. And what a week! What a week we've had.
Yes, we had a
The
crazy week, didn't we?
strange things going on. I have absolutely, well, at least to me, and show my political viewpoint, I was absolutely delighted to hear that the New York City government and police department has finally gotten its act together and fired one of its homicidal cops
After 5 years.
after 5 years of hemming and hawing. But at least justice was done at long last. So we'll figure that out. Now, my question is, what in the world has gotten into the drinking water of the town hall of Brookline? They're totally losing their marbles. First of all, 1 week ago tonight, and it got a fair amount of local coverage, the school committee appointed a acting school superintendent. And tonight, they intend to appoint an interim school superintendent.
Well,
What in the world could justify appointing somebody to a title for a week?
well, she didn't have it that title before that.
I
Now
think
she has that title, and if she goes looking outside, there's a good chance that'll be in the resume.
Oh, you betcha.
Well, that's
So,
So
is
even
that
1 week of being in that role
Yeah.
pads the resume.
so? It was a little something for the tip jar. Is that what you're
get
saying
behind
to
that.
me?
I would
I'm
say
okay
so.
with that.
Well, I mean, we don't know at this present time, but maybe she'll end up being the interim. And besides, it's not like they made an acting superintendent and they intended to name a superintendent. No, they intend to name an interim superintendent, which means in a short period of time, hopefully they'll come up.
Well,
Actually, I'd be just as happy if this school committee just left it interim, because they don't have a very good record
well,
in picking administrators. They are running down our school system like nothing you ever saw. And on a different floor, the selectmen have voted to open another pot shop. Where? In the middle of Coolidge Corner.
all the kids will be able to get those.
And somebody said to me, well, we have a lot of vacant stores now in Coolidge Corner. We will have a lot more.
Pot shop. Pot shop.
Pot shop.
Millennials love pot shops. And states love taxes and revenue and all that other good stuff that comes, because before that, it just went to the guy on the street in cash.
I'm,
Why do you suppose they would do it?
well, for money.
Yeah.
Money.
Exactly.
Money.
That's
Right,
exactly
right.
what I just said.
Jeffrey Allen was hired to promote this thing, and he talked about how wonderful it was going to be. Well, Putterham Circle, maybe, even Washington Square. The commercial heart of Brookline has always been Coolidge Corner. And if you drive by the existing place now, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, there's still a huge line there. It's been open for quite a while, and it's every day. And you move that line and that parking to Coolidge Corner, you're going to have a lot more vacant shops, because there's going to be nowhere for the local businesses, customers to park. This is a disaster.
Well,
An
there you
absolute
are.
disaster. And maybe we should look back at the fact that when they opened the other pot shop, who was the first customer? the chairman of our board of selectmen, who arranged to make the first purchase at the place. And apparently,
Taking pride.
the selectmen have been buying a lot from that place.
Hey,
You know,
you
Well,
know.
they get a discount, don't they?
I don't know. Do
I
they?
hope that. You know
think they
what?
probably
Is
do.
that a conflict of interest?
You know, they might have worked something out. I'm sure it's not, it's not on the books, but there's an
And
understanding.
if you were one of those people that goes to that big meeting that they have in the spring,
They,
The big
who's
meeting
they?
you mean town meeting?
yeah, the town meeting.
Town meeting.
If you were in one of those officials from your precinct,
Well, I was for years.
I
but,
know.
but
You could bring this up. This would be a good item.
I retired.
Oh, I know.
So you're not going to go there and yell at them about the pot chops.
Probably not.
Okay. Okay. That's all I needed to hear.
Are,
But
are
they
you
did
really?
have. They did
One
have.
less
in
thing
the-
for
in
me to
the-
have to
in
undo.
In the Herald, they had a piece, Boston Herald.
They
and
still
a lot of
publish
kids
that,
were
right?
getting a hold of pot cookies and pot
Yes.
candy, and they were taking them to the hospital, and they were sleeping, and they couldn't wake them up. Didn't say how long. They had to, but that's this
But at
is
the end of the
stupid
day,
stuff,
there's
you know.
no toxic level of marijuana. The worst is that you will sleep and eventually wake. It's not, there is no, you can only, your body will just shut down and put you to sleep. It's not going to kill you.
Well,
And yet, if your parents are leaving stuff around for kids to eat, that's on the parents.
apparently, however, there are toxic levels of vaping.
Yes, agreed.
Things.
Agreed.
More and
Agreed.
more kids are ending up in the hospital now
You
from
said it.
from vaping.
What do they do? What's happening? Is
They
it,
like
are they
to-
burning
they
their
like-
lungs? Are they
Yeah.
catching on fire? What's happening?
they're getting toxic levels of nicotine,
Okay.
Yeah.
and now Juul, who wants to be seen as responsible, is now running new ad campaigns where Juul brings you love and companionship and closeness and stuff. I didn't think I'd be able to spend more time with my granddaughter, but now that we're both using Juul, we get to spend quality time together. This is almost as bad as Ernie Bach's "Please Love Me" ad campaign.
So Juul, like just listening to music, Juul, like
Juul, Juul, the biggest
that?
manufacturer of
That's what
vaping.
they-
okay, because you
That's
know
the
what?
name.
I was picturing the singer Juul.
Juul, a much
And-
nicer picture.
Right, and that's why my whole vision went with that, and I'm like, wow,
What's he
she's
talking
involved.
about?
Yeah, it didn't make any. And then I knew I was wrong. on what it was.
Juul
Okay.
is
Those gadgets.
vape manufacturer.
big. They're the ones who make
They have the kids love them because
the
they have
long
all
rect-
flavors.
Oh,
the
yeah.
long rectangular
They're
ones
pretty.
that
Well, they all think they're cool.
sort of look like you're sucking on a Pez dispenser or
Yes.
something like that.
Yep.
Well, wait a second. To make a segue now, I would like to throw it over to Kira's recurring segment, which is our necrology.
Oh, I've become the show's necrologist since the last time I was here. So,
Necrologist,
that's right, necrologist. I'm pronouncing this correctly.
absolutely.
Okay, good, because I was practicing and practicing and practicing,
were.
so I didn't mess it up.
Does
all
it have
right?
anything
So-
to do with Jeffrey Epstein?
No, he is not on our list
Okay.
because we can't give him any airtime. So don't say his name again. Okay, so now we're gonna rest in peace, Peter Fonda.
Peter Fonda. No,
This
no,
is
it's
Peter
a-
Fonda's moment. Peter Fonda is a famous actor known for Easy
he
Rider
passed away,
and
yeah.
Captain America.
The son of Henry
And
Fonda,
Henry
the,
Fonda,
the
and
sister
what-
of Jane Fonda, the
what-
brother of Jane Fonda.
Was it cancer?
I don't know.
I thought it
I
was something
believe-
sad.
I believe that Jeffrey
No, wait, no,
Epstein
I'm sorry.
was a conspiraccy,
Why
and
does
that's
he
what
gets to
Trump
step on?
says
Why
too.
are you stepping on my necrology
Oh,
moment?
go ahead.
Like I worked really hard to practice for
All right,
this.
go ahead.
Okay, and then I'll go like this to you, and then you can start, and I'm gonna go like this while you talk about him.
That's
now. Okay,
all
so
right,
hold on.
go ahead.
So Peter Fonda, Catherine Blanco, the former governor of Louisiana during Katrina,
Yes.
who's since passed away this week.
First
or last
woman
week.
governor of Louisiana, incidentally.
First woman governor.
Yes.
And Jack Whitaker, the #1 sportscaster from like Super Bowls, playoffs.
Wonderful guy.
Like
Wonderful
probably
guy.
did the Olympics
Great,
too, didn't
great
he?
voice. I grew up with him. I think probably he probably broadcast the first World Series I ever listened to, which was very funny because they played in the daytime in those days, and my 5th grade teacher brought a radio in so that we could listen to the World Series in the classroom.
Yeah, so you guys could listen, not the teacher. No, the teacher did it so she or he could listen.
Oh.
And then they made it about you so that they could feel better about it, but it was really so they could hear it. Just don't give him as much credit. You seem to think that he brought it in for you. I'm just not going there.
Wait a second. Would you change your opinion if I said it was a she?
Maybe. I'm a little bit, I think my sexism just came out. I gotta pass, let's pass this segment back to Mike and Jeffrey Epstein.
I loved Mrs. Lincoln. She was wonderful.
Mrs.
My 5th
Lincoln.
grade teacher, Mrs. Lincoln. She was
Mrs.
good.
Lincoln, so
Yes.
she was just good stuff. All right,
Other
fine.
than that, how did you enjoy the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Yes.
Yes.
Michael, where were you going?
Well, a conspiracy. He believes it was a conspiracy.
Yeah.
He wrote his will 2 days before he died.
And he hated the idea of going to prison. But I still think it's a conspiracy.
Well, he was willing to. He was
I
willing
mean, they
to
knew
spend.
he was going to do it.
He was willing to spend like $5-6 million
Yeah, more.
to stay out of prison.
He would
wa-
have paid anything.
Yeah.
He wanted home confinement. He said he'd pay for guards. He'd pay for all this.
Anything.
I mean, he just. You know
what he was worried
too
about.
bad that he didn't think about that 20 years ago.
Yes. Well, no, you know what he was worried about.
Getting back what he'd given.
Correct. His time in the shower. The time in the shower absolutely terrified him. And in order to avoid that, as well as all the other consequences.
Send me a case of soap. I ain't leaning over for anything.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like, and that is probably one of the number one fear, I think, for men, to keep you on the straight and narrow. I think that thought alone keeps at least 40% of the
His
population
lawyers
making good
opened up a
choices.
little bit. He was terribly fearful of what was going to happen in prison.
Well,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's worst case
He
scenario.
was going to be there for 40 years.
They would have killed him in prison if he didn't, it would have not gone
If
well
he
for
wouldn't have
him.
lasted.
Yeah, I would have been shocked if he had.
it's very funny, because they have this high moral dudgeon they get into in prison, and every once in a while I want to say, wait a second, you guys who are so bent out of shape, you're in prison.
Yes. Really, it's like the pot calling the
You-
kettle
you-
black
you-
now.
You all can't be innocent.
Nope.
Now, some of you can be,
Yes.
but you're not.
And
And there's all sorts of gray area, I'm sure, for, yes, but if this had happened, then they wouldn't be there, right? So,
Well, it's interesting. We sort of talk about payback. We've got a situation here where he was very reluctant to suffer the payback of his actions. Donnie John, El Douche, he's now totally
Stop
bent out
doing
of
that.
shape. Totally bent out of shape. That's a historical reference.
you what? His historical reference?
Yes, yes.
Except for its timing.
Because all of a sudden, Fox News, they paid for polling, and they had the temerity to report the results of the polls. Basically, shorthand, the result of their poll was Donald Trump has no chance of being reelected president of the United States. And he is reacting like, these traitors, don't you know who put them there? How dare they turn against me? All they did was report the news.
Yeah.
But
He
And
he
that's
doesn't-
giving Fox too much
doesn't
credit
believe
as
it,
it
and he
is.
doesn't like it.
he
and
can't take he
can't
can't
handle that.
he can't take anything. I mean, the man is totally clinically insane.
And not worth talking
then
about.
I saw another one of these polls that had Bernie Sanders proposing criminal justice.
Reform.
Wait, opposing criminal justice?
Proposing.
He was proposing criminal justice reform.
And then there was another piece in the paper that said that America has the worst numbers of anybody in the world on incarceration.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
have the worst.
Well,
Has
because
for a
the
long
majority are drug offenders. The majority are drug offenders.
might
A
very well
huge-
be.
No, that statistically, a huge
Well,
percentage.
actually, that's something that Trump's actually doing something about now, because he's balancing it out by incarcerating lots of immigrants
True.
who aren't drug offenders.
Oh, it
he's
hurts. It just hurts.
he's-
Stop.
he's lowering that particular statistic. He also has done away with the Endangered Species Act.
Yeah.
He's doing away with our environment. He's doing away with clean water. He's doing away with all these things, and he's a bit of a piker compared to the president of Brazil.
A piker?
A piker. He's. I gotcha.
Okay.
piker?
all right. He's a
Piker is
Brazil.
a low caste, a half timer, an amateur. The president of Brazil is not only opposing all environmental laws in the country, particularly deforestation of the Amazon, and any environmental appointee in the country who tries to do raids or enforcement or enforce the laws either gets fired outright or gets their budget zeroed out, because all this environmental nonsense is just holding up our economic development, according to him. And that's of great concern to us, because the Amazon is now the largest part of the carbon dioxide sink in the entire world at the present time.
true.
So, I mean, why put all the onus on them? Well, unfortunately, they were the last to destroy their environment through development, and if the whole world, including them, wants to stay alive, it falls under the rubric of life ain't fair. All right.
And they have all these Indian tribes there, but we'll go into that later.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the big TV Unrehearsed Thespian Society's presentation for this evening, which comes out of the mid-strata of the vault.
That's
It
a
harks
section I
back-
clean a little bit.
It harks back to the days of George W. Bush,
Right.
and it is called
Another time.
Complacency. Another time, same place.
Yes.
And the more it changes, the more it remains the same.
Yep.
Okay,
Action.
action. My cousin lost his home last week.
Foreclosure?
He must have paid too much.
Credit was too easy.
Agents just get greedy.
Few regulations.
So, where's he living now?
With relatives, what do you think?
Still got a job, I hope.
Actually, that's folded. Too.
Oh, another company merger.
Like a hedge fund buyout.
There's always lots of layoffs.
And the stock raises.
Getting back to profitability, they say.
What if he's a GI in Iraq?
Some kind of legislation to help him.
I don't quite understand it.
At least it postpones the auction.
Can't have the family on the street.
Well, I don't know. We already got plenty of homeless.
1/4 of them are vets.
Bad.
It's a war on terror.
George is protecting us.
What about FEMA's trailers?
Yeah.
Traders.
Why can't poor people live in them?
Oh, it's bureaucrats.
Something about cleaning septic tanks.
But the trailers are empty.
Companies get swollen contracts.
More corruption.
Scandalous waste of our money.
Who cares anyway?
Taxpayers should demand answers.
Yeah? Well, I bet the merchants aren't worried.
Not if post-Thanksgiving sales are big.
The Puritans' public day was one of fasting and repenting.
How nostalgic. What about the big turkey, et cetera, et cetera?
It was a spiritual event then.
Yeah, prayer is important. But what about all that food?
That came later.
Lincoln encouraged this celebration.
Well, I can understand it. The Civil War didn't provide a lot of joy.
Not much now either.
The country seems resigned, however.
Our president is not changing his agenda.
Stay the course for victory.
Generals say the surge has helped.
Oh, yeah, our casualties seem to continue.
4,000 dead.
Over 28,000 wounded.
Well, we're bringing democracy to the Middle East.
Until 2008.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be this way.
Well, the Iraqi army and their police training was inadequate.
Shiites versus Sunnis.
Yeah, revived Taliban fighting again in Afghanistan.
And Iran's nuclear program grows daily.
Iraq's parliament appears powerless.
But France's new president loves us.
And Germany's Merkel finds us valued partners.
England's Gordon Brown and EU reappraising us.
They're all nervous about China and Russia.
So you mean we're more than just overseas real estate?
That's always being developed.
With climate change.
Yep, from global pollution.
Polar bears could become extinct while we're on it.
Too much carbon dioxide.
And oil prices going through the roof.
Nazi scientists made gas out of coal.
I think ethanol is healthier.
Well, electric cars are even better.
Well, but it all doesn't seem to matter.
Democrats pass bills for troop withdrawal.
And the president vetoes them.
Well, I like Attorney General Mukasey.
Is surfing safer than waterboarding?
You'd have to ask our senators.
Okay, so we're changing our primary to February.
Well, everybody else is doing it.
Anyways, Hillary needs a breather.
Over driver's license for illegals.
We still can't close our borders.
Don't bring that up again.
It's a big issue.
It's a clever Republican strategy, I think.
Swell, where were we eating tonight?
I don't think stand-up comics are funny.
Well, maybe they should all just sit down.
I like that idea. And play a banjo.
We've got enough troubles.
And those guys mostly just talk about sex and race.
Rapping and rock music, too.
Kids enjoy it. Every once in a while, so do I.
Never catch me at one of those concerts.
What's wrong with Louis Armstrong?
Well, he was great, but he's dead, Mike.
Oh, okay.
So are Mozart and Beethoven.
Well, the kids still like Tony Bennett, so do I.
Did you know the president and the vice president went to Iraq?
Big deal.
They're younger.
Some conversation here.
I'm not buying toys this year.
Grow up.
It's the lead paint.
Well, show a little optimism, please.
And patriotism.
Right, we'll muddle through.
We always do.
But it's depressing, isn't it?
Not if you're a Republican. Blackout.
Like out.
You got it right.
There we go. So we're
See,
Okay.
we could have all three said that line together, and that would have been great.
yeah,
So we'll have to work on that.
we could do that.
When we don't rehearse, though, so we just have to magically know the timing in that moment.
Well, what do I-
Speaking of Iran, there's this tanker that just left Gibraltar. This Iranian oil tanker,
Yeah.
and it had been impounded in Gibraltar by the Brits.
Brits.
And of course, as a tit for
We wanted it.
As a tit for that, the Iranians impounded a British tanker in their territory. And now the Gibraltar has turned it loose. And we immediately put out a thing saying, we want it. And the Iranians have said, okay, touch our ship and see what happens. So ship's on its way to Greece.
Perfect.
And, you know, it's the ridiculousness of this administration. They're claiming they can impound the tanker because the tanker is owned by the Republican Guards. And they've declared the Republican Guards to be a terrorist organization on about as flimsy evidence of some guy who claims he's the greatest president in American history every time he opens his mouth. You know?
Well, listen, he's terrific. Everybody, he's got all those base. They think he's close to God.
I'm going to get sick at the
know.
table here. I don't understand why.
Lots of people do.
Ugh. Okay, my turn. I want to bring up something.
Go ahead, bring it up.
The Boston Globe has mentioned the opioid crisis and that it is now methamphetamines that are moving in on top of our opioid crisis. So I don't know what that means for our dysfunctional youth, but I just can't imagine this is a good thing.
Well, it's not exclusively youth, but one of the interesting distinctions there is that the opioids in this crisis are, whether they should be or not, are legal drugs.
Yes.
Legal prescription drugs. It is quite clear that these corporations have violated every
Yes.
principle of morality
Agreed.
in this thing and have operated like the Cali cartel.
Yes.
And I want to see some of them going to jail.
We're going to watch its version of
They're
Narcos
going
in
to
the
wait
future.
a long time.
But methamphetamine, to the best of my knowledge, is not legal anywhere for any purpose whatsoever. I did notice that there were almost 4 tons of, I can't remember now, I think it was cocaine.
Cocaine. I saw.
That was coming in a truck that was otherwise loaded with jalapeno peppers.
Nice.
Probably figured if coffee throws off the dogs,
Yeah,
let's see what jalapenos do.
No, that makes sense. Clearly,
But-
it didn't work.
And the funny thing is that meth, I think I remember when meth was, kind of weird guys cooking stuff up in their basement in their garage and occasionally burning down.
This still is. This
Burning
is,
down
this
their
is
house.
what it is.
No,
It's just at a grander scale.
no. Now
Yeah.
they're making meth on industrial level
Did you not see
in-
Breaking Bad?
in Mexico and importing it.
No,
to the
Breaking
United
Bad
States.
taught us how to do it.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't
Okay,
see
Breaking
it.
Bad is a TV series about characters who create methamphetamine with purity at a major level.
All right,
That's it.
can you teach me?
No, but I wish I could rattle the character's name off. Walt could teach you.
Well, I mean, the thing is, maybe in my
Bryan Cranston.
maybe in
actor.
my declining years, I could.
Hey, I mean,
He was a high school chemistry teacher. in this
and
series.
that's the premise of the character. The character is a high school chemistry teacher who then he gets cancer, can't pay the bills, and he's got to figure out how to pay the bills, and finds a way to make clean meth.
Clean meth.
Clean meth because what they do now is they use products, they break it down. He was taking it right from the source, so
Clean-
he showed someone in Mexico how to do it.
Clean meth will kill you just as quick.
It's a horrible, horrible thing to do to your
Before
body.
we stop there. Boston Harbor can give us a way out of gridlock.
Okay,
What is it?
ferries.
Ferries. They're doing it. They're using them through the harbor. And
Yes, they
why
do.
can't we
Increasing-
do more of it?
And the
they
other
will.
day, one of them ran aground.
Yeah,
Things.
I know two people who are now using the ferries that weren't like 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think they are already increasing the
And
number
where do
of
they
routes.
live, just for fun?
Charlestown is
Okay.
one of them, and I can't remember where the other one.
Charlestown to downtown.
Yes.
They used to have downtown in Boston, Rose Wharf or one. of them.
They must have picked up since the bridge got so tied up.
Yeah, but
you know,
They definitely
But I
increased something.
actually took my wife and kids on that ferry.
Way
If
back
you
when.
were walking, it was 2 cents.
2 cents.
Wow.
2 cents if you were walking. You get
you
walking.
could pay 2 cents to walk across the bridge.
Yeah, 2
Okay.
cents.
No, to take the ferry.
Oh, to take the ferry. Got
yeah,
it.
the
Sorry.
kids loved it.
Oh.
It was great fun.
And that was last year.
I know. Oh my God, that 2 cents must have broke you. I mean, all those kids.
What did the
Oh, how could you have afforded to,
What did
to
the
get all
stat-
those kids
what
on
did-
that boat?
at 2 cents
At 2 cents a piece.
I think it was a dime for the car.
Wow. That would have broke me.
Wasn't the Staten Island ferry? I forget now. The Staten Island ferry was either like a nickel or
Yeah,
a quarter or something, and it
we
was
took
one
it.
of the great tourist things.
It
you know,
is, it was.
because it ran right past the Statue of Liberty and
Nice.
stuff. Rather than taking a tour boat, you took the Staten Island ferry to Staten Island, and then you took it back,
That's right.
Perfect.
and it cost you like max 50 cents on the thing.
Oh, inflation. Times have changed.
Yeah, I wonder how much it costs today.
So, what's on for next week? Have we got any specialties?
What's on?
We'll have a new list of dead people. There are going to be at least 3 people who die next week, and I'll be able to read them off. So,
Oh, you are serious about this.
sorry, this is my new job.
If
So,
if they don't volunteer, are you going to make sure they're there?
no, I'll just pull from the scraps. We'll start with A list, and then we'll move down to B list if necessary. So.
And if we have to, we'll tell you about the Argentinian football player who
Correct.
died
Exactly.
or something. We'll be-
Exactly. 3 it is.
You know, there is
That's it. Good night.
there is a thing on Wikipedia which
And
tells
the Red
you who
Sox are
died
winning
this
some
month.
games, and the Patriots won this last week.
Yes, the Patriots are looking very good, and we will
Okay.
see you next week, same time, same station
Jim.
here at the Fun Show at Big TV.